So brothers and sisters, now we want to talk about revelation. One of the tips I want to give you, the bits of advice I want to give you, is when you are having a dawah conversation, especially when you're doing Go Rap, please don't say to people, we Muslims believe this, we Muslims believe, we believe, we believe, we believe. Because quite frankly, who cares what you believe? You could believe that there's pink fairies living at the bottom of the garden and that the moon is made of cheese. You could believe, you can say, I believe this, and who cares what you believe? What is really important is demonstrating and explaining to people why what you believe makes sense, why what you believe is a very powerful explanation for our world, for our universe, for life, and for the meaning of life. Now, that's really valuable. So I really discourage anybody from saying, we Muslims believe this, we Muslims believe this, except for this one time. This one time is when I will actually say in the conversation, we Muslims believe. So what I will say is, we Muslims believe that the way that God, the Creator, has chosen to teach us about ourselves and about the purpose of life, and to teach us more about Him, is through books, by sending us books, by sending us guidance, by giving us books, and those books have been revealed to messengers and to human beings. And the reason is, a book is something we can all examine. It's something we can all look at. It becomes a reference point. It's something that we can all go back to if we have a disagreement. What does God want from us? The book is there. It's written. It's in black and white. It's clear. So this is a very good reason why God has chosen to give guidance in the form of books. And these books have been given to human beings. Why? The reason is because the messengers are not only postmen who deliver the message, as some people falsely claim. No, the messengers are actually living manifestations of how best to act upon that guidance that God has given us. So the messengers are not only people who deliver the message, but they also live the message. And this is very important, because if the messengers were angels or some other super being, then we human beings would say, well, it's all very easy for you to say, do this and do that and don't do this and don't do that. You're an angel, you're a whatever, or a super being. But if the messenger is human, like us, they're born, they die, they breathe, they eat, they sleep, they feel angry, they feel sad, they have desires like us, then if they can show us through their actual example that they are able to follow God's guidance, what does it say? It says, well, if I can do it, you can do it. If one human being can follow this, well, another human being can follow this. So that's the beautiful thing about God choosing messengers who are human beings, because they are real practical examples for us to be able to follow. So let's talk about a few clues that can let us know how can we really understand that the Qur'an is revelation from this creator of the whole universe to the human beings. Well, the first clue comes within the Qur'an itself, and this is very powerful. It's very interesting that in modern science, one of the things that a scientist who comes with a theory, if a scientist comes with a theory about anything in the universe, that this theory he needs to explain or she needs to explain some phenomena, and they come up with a theory that explains it. One of the things that the scientist is expected to do is to produce a falsification test. So it's a way of saying, well, if I am wrong, you can prove I'm wrong by doing this and this and this. And if you do those things, it will demonstrate that my theory is false. So basically, it's what they call a falsification test, a way of showing that the theory is false. Now, it's very interesting that the Qur'an seems to come with some type of falsification test. And you're probably familiar with it. The Qur'an tells us the meaning of which is, if this book, the Qur'an, was from anyone else other than Allah, you would be able to find many discrepancies in it. Now let's think about that for a second. The creator of the universe presumably is the one who is most knowledgeable about the universe, about its beginning, about its end, about the events that have taken place within it. The creator is most certainly knowledgeable about all things. The term we often use is omniscient, has full knowledge of everything. So the creator knows everything. Surely a being who is omniscient, or a being that has the power to create this whole universe, would have sufficient knowledge and understanding to produce a book that was internally and externally consistent. In other words, it wasn't full of contradictions. So this is like a challenge the Quran lays down. If you think this book, it's as if it's saying, as if God is saying, Allah is saying, the Creator is saying, if this book was from someone or something other than God, it would be very easy for you to find within it contradictions. And like I said, those contradictions could be external or they could be internal. Now, of course, there are many people who have come along and tried to show contradictions in the Quran, and it is way, way outside the scope of this short course to be able to go through all of those. And inshallah, I'm sure you will find that there are going to be other courses developed as you get more into da'wah and you get more into studying this subject, that you'll be able to go into that in greater depth. But we don't have the time for that. But I just want to mention that in most cases, these so-called contradictions are not contradictions at all. In fact, to be honest, some of them are so pathetic that it will make you even more sure and even more certain that the Quran is actually from God, because they are clearly not contradictions at all. So those contradictions, like I said, could be internal. So for example, it would say one thing here and it would say something completely opposite or completely different in another place. It would say something about a certain event and then make a clear contradiction about that event somewhere else. Or the external contradictions could be, well, it would contradict something that is, very, very well established as a fact of life. So, for example, it may say some really strange things that you could understand how someone 1,000 years ago may have believed that, but today it really, really wouldn't make any sense. So the fact that the Quran does not have any of these type of contradictions is a very, very good indication that it must be from the Creator of the heavens and the earth.